Our trip through North America continues as we head over to the state of New York to what is, in my opinion, one of the best road course facilities throughout the United States of America. It is Watkins Glen International, but this time with a little bit of a twist. Welcome to Friday Night Primetime and round number 7 of the iRacing Dallara Formula IR Series. I'm Nolan Rempo with Ryan Walker beside me in the commentary box and Connery Maddock behind the cameras for today's race. Watkins Glen is a very historic track from its founded in 1956, the only major change coming to the layout we all know and love in 1971. Since then, the track has remained virtually unchanged in its layout, and it is still a favorite for thousands of fans and racers alike. This track is so unique in that it's very simplistic in its corners that looks to be similar to one another, but also providing a very unique challenge at the same time. Because as anybody knows, this track, while it has similar looking corners on a track map, they are anything but when you actually drive the track itself.
Yeah, it's a fantastic track by Watkins Glen. It doesn't matter what layout you use, even if it's the NASCAR layout or the layout before the bus state of chicane. It's one of those tracks that just produces great racing no matter what series hits here. And I'm expecting a lot of slipstream battles, especially after the S's section heading down that straight. Because normally we would use the bus stop chicane, but today we're not using that, so don't be surprised if you see cars maybe going 2 wide or even 3 wide at one point.
That was the twist that we mentioned. It is Watkins Glen International, but there is no bus stop chicane as we usually see on the back straightaway as we watch Manuel Domingo start to throw his car around for his qualifying laps, running the medium tire compounds at the moment. I'll tell you what, it is going to be very, very interesting seeing what no bus stop chicane to the backstretch will mean, because that means you are going to have cars hitting the outer loop there going 200 miles an hour, which is about 325 kilometers an hour. That is about as fast as these cars are able to go, so it's opened up a massive passive opportunity on that back straightaway as we continue to watch Domingo throw his way around these corners, trying to see if he can pick up a good spot to start this race off. And so far, he's going to come across the line. It's going to be a 1:14.590. That's going to put him up into 8th place. Tim DeLisle currently sits on the pole once again.
Yep, Tim DeLisle had a great race last week, and hoping to do the same again. But just looking at the qualifying grid at the moment, and Greg Olson's made a return, so I wouldn't be surprised if Greg takes another win in this series after taking the win at Phillip Island, I believe. So yeah, he's pretty handy in open wheel cars as we ride on board of the 17 car of Blake Haswell at the moment, heading round the final few corners. It looks to be a decent lap at the moment, and the final corner, Nolan, is one of my favourites. Just throwing the car in there and hoping it sticks, and then when it sticks, it just feels so rewarding. But as Blake heads up to the line now, and it looks like it's going to be a 120.6.
It is currently an Aussie 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you got Australians/New Zealanders locking out the first 2 rows at the moment. It is going to be really, really difficult for anybody to try to really kind of get up there to overtake them, because a row after the top 4, it still is tight. There's less than 100 of a second separating Dominic Farber. Manuel Domingo finally splits that up. He is going to go up into the 4th position and kick Steve Honan down onto row number 3. So Domingo from Iberia putting in the times.
Yeah, that was a good lap from Manuel Rabbit. To put him into P4, and as we're at just about 1 minute or 1.5 minutes remaining in this session. So at the moment, it's whatever lap you're on at the moment, it looks like it'll be the last lap. And it's like you say, Nolan, just looking at the front of the grid, it's real close at the moment from Tim DeLisle down to basically just about Manuel Domingo.
A lot of drivers have opted to turn onto the medium compounds for today's qualifying session. It is about 87 degrees Fahrenheit for the track temperature, so relatively cold track temps here, considering what we're used to seeing over in this section of the state. There is one driver, though, that has opted to go for something unusual. He's not using the softs or the mediums. He is using the hard tires. That driver is Javier Soto in the number 12 car. He's already finished both of his laps, and he is presently sitting 17th on the grid, but the hard tires we really have not seen present at all throughout the season so far, so a bit unusual that we see somebody trying to qualify on them.
Yeah, I wonder if Javier's maybe just thinking of doing a long run, trying to go as long as possible, and when it comes to changing the tyres and I'm guessing switching to the softs, it means like he doesn't have to, depending on what his strategy is, he doesn't have to like pit straight away or at the halfway mark. He can just basically stretch that out.
Just 3 seconds remaining in qualifying, and just about now the checkered flag flies. We're set to go racing here at Watkins Glen International. Let's take a good old look at the starting grid for today's race. Bit of difficulties there with the starting grid graphics, but Tim Dallara starts on the pole position with Greg Olson starting beside him on the front row. Drew Russell starts third with Manuel Domingo. Another great qualifying effort sees him starting fourth. Steve Honan starts on the fifth position. There we go. Dominic Farber rounds off row number 3. Jacob Spadisky is going to be starting in 7th place with Marco Sanfilippo in the 8th position. Omar Baja and Matthew Howard round out the top 10. Philip Schiff starts 11th, Danilo Sanfilippo in the 12th position. Then comes Blake Haswell and Anthony Catt for row number 7. Row 8 holds Thomas Zine and Tim Bauer. Row 9 with Javier Soto and Jacob Ubruslak. Rounded out the top 20 is going to be Nicholas Hayertz and Dylan Freckleton. Cal Young starts 21st, Adam Cohn in 22nd, Robin Broomer in 23rd, Aaron Roos in 24th. 2 cars not setting qualifying times. Those drivers are Thomas Langley and Eric Jajok, rounded out a 26-car grid for today's race. The fullest we've seen in a while. It seems like our field has returned to full strength, just like we've seen at Suzuka. Had a couple of weeks where we didn't see a whole lot of cars on the field. Not the case today, showing that this track is still popular as ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with last week as well, it was a bit of a not a low turnout, but it was kind of not as big as it has been before. But obviously, with the Daytona 24 taking place, most drivers' focus would have been on preparing for that. But it's a good turnout tonight, and hopefully, we should be in for a great race. And as Tim Dallara just pointed out on the text chat, it's a long pace lap, so cold tyres, and these drivers are going to have to be very wary of that.
Yeah, we're used to seeing a bit of a shortened pace lap for a good portion of the field. Not the case today. We are going for a full loop around Watkins Glen International before we go racing for what is going to be 37 laps here today. Definitely a much shorter lap count than what we saw at Long Beach for a 50-lap race over there. We're hoping that this race is going to be much more entertaining than the last 2 or 3 rounds have been. With a track like this, though, we can only expect good things.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of passing opportunities. I mean, you've got the straight after the exit of the S section that they're heading up through now. And also you've got that back straight in the last sector as well. And so there's plenty of passing opportunities. But it's just pulling off the move. It's going to be a bit tough, but especially with the cars being so close together in the slipstream.
Be tough indeed as the Porsche 911 GT3 pace car continues to lead this field of 26 strong around. Looks like to be, I believe, Positive Sim Racing teammates started on the front row. So this is going to be a really good run for both these drivers. They're both Australians. They're both teammates. So to lock out the front row is going to be something special. Now the question is, will Greg Olson try to hold up the field behind to let Tim Dallara run away with the lead? Because we've seen how fast Tim Dallara can be in this car.
Yeah, he's an absolute rocket in this car. He's really quick, as we saw at Phillip Island. But he's Greg Olson as well. He's another driver from the Australian New Zealand club that he can give him a good challenge. So I don't think Tim Dallara will get it all his own way.
It was looking to be an Australia-New Zealand 1, 2, 3, and 4, but Manuel Domingo definitely split that up. Manuel Domingo hailing from the Iberian club, definitely a driver to throw a bit of a wrench into the works of the Aussie domination up in front. We'll have to see if he'll be able to maximize this and come up with another podium finish today.
Yep, absolutely. As they're just heading down the back straight now, and I'm interested to see what Tim Dallara does with regards to the start and the final corner. Does he go straight away, or does he try and maybe just bunch the pack up like you were talking about, Nolan? I think if I was Tim, I would just basically just floor it and just go.
And we've seen what kind of chaos bunching up the field can do. We saw that happen at the Nürburgring, and it ended up resulting in about 4 or 5 cars all getting taken out in the first corner. Your final thoughts here as we start to round the final few corners, though?
Well, I think we should be in for a great race as they're coming round the final couple of corners now. I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategy they've got. Some of these drivers further back go with. Will they go for it straight away and try and make up positions before the pit stop? Or will some drivers like Javier Sato will play the long game and just be a little bit more cautious?
Through the final corner they go. Already Dallara is slow by about 15 miles an hour slower than the pace car speed is. The pace car pulls off the pit road. Dallara is on the loud pedal early. We're racing in the state of New York. It's a great jump for Tim Dallara and for Drew Russell, who already picks up the second position from Greg Olsen, who's trying to outbrake him going into turn number 1. As the field fans through, contact in the back. Philip Schick going around along with Matthew Howard. Both cars spinning out wide. Got 4 cars. One of them at the tire barriers. Big time. Huge crash over there in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I wasn't really surprised by that. I was kind of expecting some incidents to happen in turn 1 or on the exit of turn 1, and especially through the S's. But at the moment, it looks like Tim Dallara has had a great start. Is that Greg Olsen goes wide on the carousel?
Couple cars went wide at the carousel as we continue to watch this battle for the lead. About 4 cars overturned. We'll get a replay of that start now. One of the cars that took the wildest rise was Nicholas Hayers at the 13. Take a look at this race spot replay, though, as we watch the field, as we take another look at the start of the race. There's taking a lot of cars out of the race. There's been another big crash. Matthew Howard has just exited the race. We'll take a look at that in a second. Let's keep with this replay here for just a little bit longer. We'll get to the second incident momentarily. Take a look on board with Nicholas Hayers, though, as he takes a wild ride between 1 and 2.
So he's heading down to turn 1, and Nicholas, he's in okay on the entry of turn 1, but it looks like, he just got collected.
And look at the carnage on the exit of turn 1 as everybody went flying all over the place. Everybody's rolling over and over. It was just absolute calamity for a lot of these drivers. And Matthew Howard, one of the drivers that got caught up, was in another incident that saw him, I believe, flipping over the guardrail. As a matter of fact, we're not going to be able to get a look at that one. And I believe Domingo has had some trouble. So Manuel Domingo potentially now with some major issues. In fact, it is Manuel Domingo. Major front wing damage, barely any rear wing. Looking at another replay, just got loose. Oh my gosh, what a hit. Yeah, it was just unfortunate. People that were oncoming heading towards him just had nowhere to go. And unfortunately, they got ended up in that incident. And Domingo, he just basically just lost traction and got sideways. And unfortunately, just got tagged from behind. So all of a sudden, we've gone from having 26 cars down to 17 in a matter of about a minute and a half. That just goes to show how excited these starts can really be. The furthest battle up we have on the course right now is for the second position. Greg Olsen is trying to run down Drew Russell in that second position. The Positive Sim Racing driver is trying to see if he can run down his fellow Australian to see if he can maybe keep him away from Tim Dallara up in front.
Yeah, Tim Dallara was just basically pulled away from the rest of the pack behind him with them getting caught up on their own issues, but he's got a decent sized lead at the moment. It's about 2.2 seconds, but behind him we've got Drew Russell and Greg Olsen battling away for second and third, and after those incidents, it looks like the pack is just basically split up.
Olsen makes the move for P number 2. Drew Russell does not even bother trying to go defensive. He's going to allow Olsen to have that move down into, I believe that's going to be about turn 5 at the moment. So Russell is going to have to try to get himself sorted. He's going to have to try to make this work again, but it's going to be really difficult because we know how fast those Positive Sim Racing drivers are.
And we've had nine cars retired from the race already, and we're just about at the end of lap 3, so it's just unbelievable.
And one of those drivers that was out was Manuel Domingo, who split up the qualifying order to stop from being in Australia 1, 2, 3, 4. We're hoping to see if he could maybe make something here, go for a podium position in the final laps of the race. Not going to happen today. He's going to be finishing this one all the way at the tail end of the field. Taking a look now at Dominic Farber as he's just kind of, running his own race, doing a good job at running his own race at that. He's Taking a look at some of the other battles. I believe this is the battle for about 7th and 6th between Omar Baja and Marco Sanfilippo that we're watching just started its way through turn number 2.
Yeah, Marco Sanfilippo, I'm quite surprised he's in the midfield at the moment. He's normally more used to seeing him up at the front, but yeah, maybe just not used to this track. But at the moment, he's still doing a good job in the top 10 and 6th position at the moment. But he's currently under attack from Omar Baja.
Omar Baja still trying to run down Marco Sanfilippo just up the road. Steve Honan has caught Dominic Farber. So we got 2 battles that are about to all engage into one big one here, which will be for about the 4th position, a 4-car train right now. And you got Jacob Swiderski waiting in the wings, trying to see if he can maybe close the gap and get some ground made up as well. So Dominic Farber is the car heading the train. You just saw him exit stage right of your screens right there. He is right another one headed to the train. He started to pull a little bit of a gap over Steve Honan, who's still trying to hang on to the gap, but Marco Sanfilippo is trying to run him down here.
You just watching Marco at the moment. He's absolutely wringing the neck out of that car, just throwing it into every corner, trying everything to try and get by Steve Honan. But at the moment, he's also having to keep an eye on his mirrors because Omar Baja is behind him as well, with Jacob Swiderski as well.
Up the hill they go, already 200 miles an hour, climbing up to 210, nearing 350 kilometers an hour at this point. 215 to the end of the straight. Honan makes the dive on Dominic Farber into the corner of turn number 5, down towards the chute. They're still going to be side by side. Farber trying to hang on to the spot. He does by managing to outbrake Honan around the outside.
Yeah, that was great defensive driving from Dominic. He managed to hold the position there and managed to carry the momentum on the outside in the carousel and hold that position. And Dominic is a pretty quick driver, and we've seen him a few times on RaceSpot in the past, especially in multi-class racing. He's a pretty handy driver. I've not watched him too much in open wheel racing, but at the moment he seems to be doing a good job.
4-car battle for that 4th position. Right now, all 4 cars are about a second apart. Second and a half, give or take. Jacob Swiderski has just kind of entered the picture in the background. He's about 2 seconds back from the car up front, trying to see if he can maybe close in the gap a little bit more.
Yeah, as I head down to turn 1 now, and this pack, they're really close together. And Farber's doing a good job holding these guys behind as we ride on board with Omar Baja, headed up through the S's and currently in 7th place. And this pack's pretty much lost touch with the top 3 in front of them, so it looks like at the moment, hopefully not jinxing it, that the top 3 at the front is pretty much sealed at the moment.
Steve Honan just made the pass work on Dominic Farber, got the pass done for the 4th position. This time, Dominic Farber really did not defend, didn't have any other choice but to let Steve Honan go. He was flying up on him as a result of the powerful slipstream these cars can gather down the straightaway, and made the pass for perfectly. Take a look at the replay of the pass for the 4th position.
There's a head up through the S's now, and it looks like Steve got a great run. Got a great run through the S's and just basically got the slipstream heading down the straight. And like I say, with no chicane, you can pretty much get the slipstream and make a move. As it looks like, that looked a little bit too easy. I don't know if Dominic lifted out of that slightly.
I'm pretty sure that's what Dominic Farber did, because he realized it wasn't wise to go side by side through the corner twice in a row. It is important to note, though, that the red line machine there does have damage on the right front of his front wing. Sorry, left front of the front wing. You can just barely see from this camera angle here. Look at the left side of that front wing. It is a little bit crumpled in. That is no doubt really, really hurting his downforce here and his overall speed, as now Marco Sanfilippo is on a charge. Sanfilippo looks to the left side of the car, and he is already going to clear before he even get to the bus stop chicane. Farber's going to have to cut back in line. Nothing he can do about that one.
Yeah, so that slight front wing damage will probably be affecting his straight line speed as well, and unfortunately he's been pretty much just lost 2 positions, and at the moment he's having to keep an eye on a couple of guys behind him with Omar Baja and Jacob Swiderski. Oh, that was so close.
Omar Baja definitely having a very close call. No damage on that car. Omar Baja is running the soft tires, whereas Dominic Farber is running the mediums along with every car in front of him. So out of this 5-car battle here for that 4th position, Baja is the only one that is running the soft compounds, and it clearly is not working out maybe as well as he would have liked. Jacob Swiderski is right behind him, and goodness me, that is so incredibly good.
Yep, absolutely. As they're coming across the home straight now, and they're heading down to turn 1. And yeah, Dominic Farber, I was just watching his onboard from my point of view, and it looks like he seems to be struggling a little bit with handling.
You see on the left side of your screen there the graphic that is showing what tire compounds everybody is running at the moment on the track. You will see at the front it is dominated mostly by the medium tire compounds. That definitely seems to be the compound of choice for a lot of drivers. It has been growing that way over the course of the season. You know, for the first few rounds, it looked to be like soft was going to be the way to go. Not anymore, though. A lot of drivers have been wanting to switch over to the mediums a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's just it's thinking about it. Like, some drivers like to go as long as possible, and if you can go as long as possible, you could probably stick the softs on towards the end of the race and just go for it, and just basically just try and go as quick as possible.
The gap is starting to close once again between Dominic Farber and Omar Baja. Jacob Swiderski is still just barely waiting in the wings, trying to see if he can close in a bit more to the car up in front of them. We'll just have to wait and see what this will mean for Baja. Because if he ends up getting caught by Swiderski before he can close up to Baja, it is going to be disastrous for him, because he's going to have that much of a harder time trying to work his way up through the order. Steve Honan is also losing time to Marcus Sanfilippo just behind him, and you can see this right here, this gap right here. You can see about 0.4 of a second and closing fast. He is definitely going to catch him here on this straightaway. Does Steve Honan go defensive? He does not. Marcus Sanfilippo gets the nose on the inside, and already Steve Honan letting off early to let Sanfilippo through.
Yeah, I think Steve realised that Mark was a quicker driver, and with both of those guys rather starting to pull away from the other battle behind, I think it makes sense for Steve just to back out of it and use the slipstream to try and pull away.
Omar Baja pulled off an identical pass on Dominic Farber on the last straightaway as well. So Chuck Omar Baja up now to the 6th position. Swiderski is now going to try to make quick work of Farber just so we can keep up in touch with Omar Baja, because I'll tell you what, that 14 car was really reeling in the 8 before he passed Dominic Farber. Now Farber is just in Swiderski's way and is starting to hold him up.
Yeah, I think Dominic's struggling with that slight front wing damage for sure. I mean, I'm just watching him now. It just seems to be sometimes he's struggling to get the car turned in, and he's having to go a lot slower on corner entry just to make sure he makes a turn in. But as they come across the start-finish line now, heading down to turn 1, I thought Dominic was going to go defensive. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dominic lets Jacob go as well, if Jacob gets the run on the exit of the S's, which are coming through now. And it looks like Jacob's getting close now. And he's got the run. Will Dominic go defensive? Yes, he does.
Swiderski gets the pass done easily, though, around the outside. Nothing that Dominic Farber could do about it again. So Farber is going to have to stick it back in line and wait just a little bit longer before he can maybe try to properly have a run at this. Is it just me, or is Jacob Swiderski missing the rear cowl on his engine covering on the back end there?
Yeah, he's missing it. I thought it was just a paint job or what he'd done, but yeah, he's definitely missing a piece on his engine cover, that's for sure.
Trying to find a good angle to show you guys exactly what we're talking about here, but on the back of most open wheel cars, you might be able to see it here. Yeah, there you go, right there. That black spot that you saw there, that is not supposed to be there. That is actually a piece of the engine that is sticking up from the car. A vast majority of open wheel cars have what they call a rear cowl on these machines to keep the engines covered. That seems to have somehow come off, meaning he's had a bit of a tap on the rear end or potentially the side somewhere. One car comes down to the lane. That is Dominic Farber that is now in pit lane. Decided to maybe bring it down to get that front wing fixed.
Yeah, so Dominic's definite. I think he's decided to come into the pits now and try and get some of that damage repaired, because he was just losing. He was losing too much time and he was losing places. Just pretty much. So he's in the pits now, getting a new set. Wait a second, has he just escaped? Yeah, he's retired from the race.
Oh wow! Wow, that is big for Dominic Farber. Unexpected pit stop, and that is going to leave him out of the race. I guess he didn't want to continue to put the fight in, so he is going to be done and out for the race. So I believe that we now put our retirees up into the double digits, which is going to leave us down to about 16 cars now that are left running in this race. Javier Soto, I believe, is more than a lap down. He has yet to pass Dominic Farber officially, but he will no doubt do so in just a couple moments here.
Yeah, it looks like we've got, just looking now, we've still got 17 cars in the race with Javier Soto 1 lap down, but we're only on lap 12, and we've got loads of retirements now, so this race is starting to take a bit of a hit attrition-wise.
I honestly did not expect this race to be so attrition-filled. I know that, big wrecks at the exit of turn 1 can be quite commonplace. I just didn't expect to see it from, a bunch of guys that at this point in time have had almost 2 months of this car under their belt. I would have thought that maybe that could have gone a little bit better at the start. Still, honestly, I think it was just everybody trying to push too hard down to turn number 1. It's the tightest corner of the racetrack. Definitely usually one of the best passing zones as well. It seems to have been a lot of drivers' kryptonite, though, instead today.
Yeah, and also I think some drivers were maybe just caught out trying to push too hard on cold tyres as well, instead of letting them get up to temperature. And it's just basically caught them out, and it's caused loads of retirements already. But riding on board the 7th place man, Jacob Swiderski at the moment. And he's currently in a battle with Omar Baja in front of him. And just up the road in front of these guys as well, they've got Steve Honan. So if these guys work together, they could possibly close Steve down.
Question is, will Jacob Swiderski want to work with Omar Baja? I have a feeling that Swiderski might try to get by Baja as soon as possible, because Omar Baja is starting to go 13 laps on those soft tires. He is going to start feeling a bit of a performance degradation that Swiderski will still be able to run a few more laps where he'll be able to feel the same thing. So we'll have to see here what Omar Baja is going to make with those soft tires. We need to consider as well that the rear cowl missing from Swiderski might also be hammering him, because that does mean the downforce does take quite a big hit, because that is all of a sudden a massive hole on the back of the car.
Yeah, it does, and at the moment it's Baja. It looks like we've got a battle going on as well.
That was Swiderski trying to get around Omar Baja. Didn't quite manage to get there, so Swiderski still has all the straight line speed in the world. I guess we could call it, shedding weight. I mean, that's one way to do it, I suppose, rather than dumping some fuel out of the car. And can Baja fend him off here? Will he go defensive? Swiderski is just barely not close enough to be able to make the move as we head through the heel of the boot and now back up onto what is typically known as the NASCAR circuit, down for the final couple corners.
And I think Swiderski's best opportunity of getting by Baja is on the exit of the S's, heading onto the straight. If he can get close enough, and I think he could use that slipstream to his advantage. But this behind these guys as well, we've got who is that? That's Danilo Sanfilippo in the background as well.
You see how much that Swiderski is really struggling here with some of these bit of tighter but high-speed corners. I think that might be the rear cowl that is missing, working against Swiderski right now, because like I said, the overall aerodynamics of the car is going to take a massive blow with that cowl missing. He's likely losing out by about 3/10, 4/10 a lap as a result of that, because it's a big hole in the back of the car, and the aerodynamics just cannot flow over the back of the car towards the rear wing as well as it would have wanted. So he's having to go slowly through his corners, and it's just pushing him further and further towards the exit of the curves. That's why you see why he's starting to lose touch now to Omar Baja up in front, because he's having to work more and more with the mechanical grip that the tires and the suspension are giving him instead.
Yeah, it seems to be Jacob was getting close on the brake, and it might be carrying more down, a little bit more downforce. But just watching now from on board Jacob, it looks like Omar's starting to pull away slightly. And I have to agree with you, Nolan. I think that missing engine cover piece is costing Jacob slightly in a straight line.
It's not the only damage he's got in the car either. He's also got a little bit of rear wing damage as well, just kind of right up at the top end. It's a little bit folded in right about the left side of the rear wing. So that is seriously hurting this car here. You see how much wider he's running in turn 1. That is what's really hurting her here. He's trying to keep the momentum up with the car, but he's just not able to, because he's got to take such a compromising line through these corners. Now he's having to go defensive because Danilo Sanfilippo is all over the back end. Will the 3 car make the look? He is going to go for the look down towards turn number 5. Going to try to make this pass work around the outside. Sanfilippo gives a little bit of a twitch. Not close enough to get the pass done. Yes,
Sanfilippo he managed to carry the momentum on the outside, but just couldn't keep it stuck on the outside. And then Jacob done a great defensive job keeping him behind, but it's just a matter of time before Sanfilippo gets by, and I think it's just Jacobs, like you said, knowing he's got a little bit more damage as well, so it's hindering him in a straight line.
We're already starting to close in on the halfway point of the race too. I believe we're going to be approaching at about 5-6 laps time here. So this race certainly has flown by. And so far, even with the massive lap one pileups, because we've saw about 2-3 major accidents in the first couple laps of the race, this race is still going on strong. That just goes to show that even if you knock almost half the field out in the first lap, you can still have an entertaining race.
Yep, absolutely. As being proved here at the moment with Swiderski and Daniele Sanfilippo at the moment having a battle for the 7th place. Sorry, as it looks like Jacobs trying to get the slipstream from the car in front, but it's not really benefiting him at the moment.
And he's lost all touch to Omar Baja up in front of him because he's having to work so hard at keeping Danilo Sanfilippo behind him. He's having to take these really compromising lines to try to carry as much momentum as he can throughout these corners. Last lap alone, Omar Baja was 0.2 faster than Jacob Swiderski. And now, keep in mind, Danilo Sanfilippo was a little bit slower than Swiderski the last lap as well. So Sanfilippo was also starting to lose time to Swiderski. So it's a real possibility here that now we're starting to see tire wear play in a factor into how this battle is playing out.
Yeah, I think at the moment the tires are starting to drop off, and I honestly believe if Javier Soto didn't have his issues, I think he could have been right in this battle as well, and being on the harder tyre compound could have paid off. But that's just the way it goes in these races sometimes. And at the moment, Swiderski runs a little bit wide in the exit of turn 1, but at the moment he's managing to just do enough to stay ahead of Daniel Sanfilippo at the moment.
Couple tenths quicker last time for Sanfilippo. He's once again closing to Swiderski. He's going to be close enough for the pounce this time round. Looks to the outside for turn number 5 in the outer loop. Trying to dive around and hold the speed around the outside, but Swiderski still has all the momentum he needs on the inside of the outer loop. Down once again as we go through the chute and head up towards the toe.
Yep, and pretty much this is the closest battle on track at the moment, and Sanfilippo runs slightly wide, but is still managing to keep in touch of Swiderski. But I think being in that dirt air as well won't be doing his front tyres any good.
This could be one of those battles that is decided in the pit stops. Does Sanfilippo opt to maybe, I don't know, I feel like Sanfilippo might want to start considering doing a bit of an undercut here to try to maybe get onto a softer compound to outrun Jacob Swiderski in the short run and build a gap on him. So when Swiderski tries to close him back down, he'll be able to, have a little bit of a buffer room to work with. We're going to be halfway this next time by here.
Yeah, I think if I was Daniele Sanfilippo, I would honestly think about pitting this lap and trying doing the undercut, as they've got a car in the pits already. There's Philip Schiff.
Philip Schiff down in pit road up onto the jacks. He was running the softs. He's going to be switching to mediums from here to the end. So it's about one lap further for his next stint, and he is electing to take it onto the compound that will last a bit longer. So I guess he realized that maybe softs to softs was not going to be the strategy for today. He is now out of pit road and off and away. He is down to the 13th position. He'll likely cycle back up, though, towards the top 10 by the time everybody else cycles through.
Yep, as they're looking back at the leader, Tim Dallara coming across the line now, heading into turn 1, and Tim is basically just all by himself at the moment. He's got no one threatening him, and he's got about a 3.2 second lead at the moment over Greg Olsen. So Tim Dallara putting in a commanding drive, and after those issues at the start, he's just all by himself. But yeah, you see there in the background, second place Greg Olsen.
Positive sim racing teammates running 1-2 at the moment and making it an Aussie 1-2 as well. Definitely what they were hoping to see coming into today's race. Check it back in on the battle for 7th. The gap is just 0.3 of a second and close it fast. Now it's a quarter. Now it's 0.2. Now it's a 1/10 and a half. Now it's 1/10, half a 10th. And here he goes, going for the move around the outside. Once again into turn number 5, as we've seen so many times before, but Swiderski is still able to fend him off around the inside and just chop his front wing. Having all sorts of defensive this time round. Swiderski struggling a little bit this time round through the chute. Sanfilippo has closed in the gap once more.
Yeah, I honestly thought that San Felipe was going to have the move done on the outside, but again, it's all fine and well getting the slipstream and getting a run down the straight, but it's if you get alongside someone, you've really got to try and hold it on the outside to make sure you're on the inside for the next corner. But these guys scrapping away, it has allowed Omar Baha to just scupper away and build up a bit of a cushion. As it looks like we've got third place Greg Olsen in the pits at the moment.
And here comes the battles for 6th, 7th, and 8th coming in as well. There will be no undercut. All three drivers coming down at the same time. So it's up to the drivers now to make it into their pit stalls as quickly as they possibly can. This is going to be critical here. Omar Baja's on the softs. Will he continue on the softs or will he go to the medium compounds? Omar Baja's up on the jacks. He is going to elect to keep it on the softs for the looks of things. It is softs. It's still mediums for Swiderski. It is still mediums as well for Danilo Sanfilippo. Sanfilippo passes Swiderski in the pits. Swiderski likely has... Oh, yeah. Swiderski will have the repairs because no doubt he's going to have the required repairs to get that engine cowl back on.
Yeah, I was wondering why Swiderski was still in the box, but I thought it was a penalty. But obviously as well, he's got a bit of damage on the engine cover that he needs to get repaired, but that was so unfortunate because that was a great battle between those guys. But Jacob Swiderski underway again, and he'll come back out, and it looks like 12th position.
32 seconds, very quick for some racing standards, such as GT racing or club car racing. A lifetime in open wheel racing, where the stops are often 8 seconds or less. Tim Delisle is into the pits, and we'll have to see what he's going to do. Medium tires were the first compound on. Now we're watching, I believe this is his teammate currently running around the track, Greg Olsen. He's been doing a pretty decent job himself. Delisle keeps it on the mediums as he is now out of pit road. While Greg Olsen dives off of turn 1, trying to run down Thomas Zine to pick up the top 5.
Zine's on all tyres as well, so he still has to pit. But Tim Delisle with that pit stop, actually managed to increase that gap a little bit more after his pit stop.
Indeed he has. Adam Cohen's just made a stop as well as we watch Greg Olsen make that pass around the inside of Thomas Zine, who just let him have it. No dramas there, and to be expected as well. Thomas Zine was going to be passed regardless, whether it was on the track or in the pits. So there really was no point in fighting that one.
Yeah, there's no really any point fighting someone if you've still got to make a pit stop or you're on a different strategy or just a little bit slower even. It just makes no sense. But at the moment, after the pit stops for some of the front runners, it seems to have just at the front anyway, it seems to have settled down.
Marco Sanfilippo comes down to pit road. He's got Steve Honan just behind him. Tim Delisle passes both of them on the track right now, and still has Drew Russell to work with, as now Russell is the race leader, but he has yet to make his pit stop as well. Both cars in the pit lane. Marco Sanfilippo keeps it on the medium tires. So it's going to be a very harmless stop there for one of the Sanfilippo brothers.
Sanfilippo's got a car behind him. This is a battle as well. Sanfilippo under attack from it looks like Steve Horan by the looks of it, heading up through
that's
the
Javier Soto.
Oh, Javier Soto, sorry. Sorry, my bad. I was getting mixed up there. It was Steve Horan battling for position.
So it was lap traffic, as a matter of fact. So a little bit of confusion on probably all of our ends. So apologies for that one. Javier Soto ended up losing it out. He's one lap down from Mark Sanfilippo. Let him go. You can already see how much time he has lost to the cars just behind him. Everybody has kind of split it out now. Nobody's really close together. No battles presently on the track. We'll have to wait to see where Thomas Zine and Drew Russell will come on out before we kind of figure this out. Here you can see the pit stops, and this is showing how much time has gone, either A, since the start of the race, or if you've already pitted, how much time since your last pit stop. So you can see Drew Russell is going to be going up to 23 laps now on his tires at the end of the lap. So will Thomas Zine, who is kind of running the same strategy as him right now with him here.
Indeed he is. I think just watching the pit stops as well, I think that's pretty much all the front runners made their pit stops. But yeah, some people might be thinking, why not switch to the soft tyres for the finish? But yeah, we're only on the lap 23 at the moment, and the soft tyres might not go to the end just because Watkins Glen, it's such a high-speed track. You've got high-speed corners, and it means the tyres take a bit of a pounding. So going on the mediums is not always a bad thing.
It really isn't a bad idea because this track, like you said, it is brutal on the tires. There are so many different types of changing track surfaces, not to mention all the bump the track surfaces as well. I mean, you can just watch, even in this one corner alone, you got like 2-3 different types of track surfaces that you have to run through there. And it's the same way around every corner on this racetrack, not to mention the elevation changes that really put a lot of loads onto the tires. Tomazine comes down the pit road this time by. I think one of the most brutal corners, though, for the tires is actually turn 1. It is a downhill braking zone. You're running over 2 sets of absolutely killer curbs there for the car. It really is not a pleasant feeling to try to get on up with them, especially if you're in a car like this where it's so easy to be unsettled by them.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you've got the carousel as well, which is a high-speed corner, and I think that's another corner where the tyres take a punishment as Tomazine switches onto the soft tyres.
And Tomazine going to switch from the mediums over to the soft tires, so it's going to be a medium to soft for Tomazine. He comes out in, I believe, the 9th position. He's got Philip Schiff about 1.3 seconds up the road. So we'll have to see what those fresh softs will be able to do on Philip Schiff's mediums, who are already 6.5 laps old.
Indeed, as we're on just about coming to the end of lap 24 at the moment, and it's all quieting down now. But again, Tim Dallara was putting in a great drive at the moment, and he's currently in 2nd place by the looks of it. But obviously, Drew Russell still has to make his pit stop.
And make the pit stop he shall, as he is right now in pit road. He also switches onto the soft tires for the final 13 laps of the race.
And Russell switches to the softs coming out of the pits now, so I think if you get to lap 25, you should be able to make it to the end on soft tyres if you choose to switch to that option, which Drew has.
So Drew Russell is going to fall down to the 3rd position. He's now working his way past lap traffic. That was Blake Howell that you just saw, or Haswell that you just saw. Drew Russell darting his way past. That was the driver running in the 15th position. So now the only driver to pit is Javier Soto, who has been on the hard tires. He was the only driver to start this race on the hard tires, and he still has yet to come down for his own pit stop as well. Now, Javier Soto is already a lap down, so it really is not going to matter where he's going to come out. But it is interesting to see that one driver has elected to stick on the hard tires, even though it's been proven time and time again, those are not the tires you want to have on your car in the race.
Yeah, well, from what we've seen so far this season, that most drivers say prefer to go on the softs or the mediums. I don't know if it's because if it means you can keep a consistent pace up, or the hard tyres you just lose too much time on. But softs and mediums seem to be the preferred choice, but Javier Soto preferring to be different and use the hard tyres. Those like
just now. There you have it. Javier Soto comes down to pit road, gets onto a fresh pair of softs, and he is also going to be off the way a harmless 7.2 second pit stop. I think the reason why a lot of drivers like to go for the mediums and the softs is because of how the fuel tanks are actually limited here, Ryan. If you can make a set of mediums stretch out to just about where your fuel tank runs out, why bother running the hards? I mean, these guys do not run full fuel tanks. It is restricted by iRacing to make so you will have to make one pit stop throughout the course of the race. That is the whole point of having these kind of shortened races, is to make you have to think about the pit strategy a little bit more. So that's why a lot of drivers like to run the softer compounds, because they don't have any need to try to stretch the race out on the hards, because at most tracks you can run a set of softs out to just about the halfway point.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can run about just about halfway in a race in this series on the soft tyres, and yeah, you should, or you can run in the mediums and get to the halfway point as well. and then stuck on the soft tyres for the end. So it's either way, you can use whatever strategy you think will work out.
You can see the battle for 10th right now between Thomas Lajny and Jacob Swiderski. Swiderski now does have a rear cowl on the car. You can see the black spot is now fully gone. It is replaced with the purplish pink livery that we're used to seeing on that machine. Off of the final corner, he's trying to run down the 10th place driver right now. Having a little bit of trouble though in maintaining that gap.
Yeah, he is, and Swiderski seems to be picking up his pace again after that repair to the damage that he had in the early stages, and it's closing the back down on Thomas Lajny at the moment. But yeah, this seems to be the closest battle on track at the moment.
He's reeling them down really quickly here. Lajny will have to make a choice here. He's going to not move aside. He is going to let Jacob Swiderski through. Lajny, of course, running old soft, while Jacob Swiderski is on medium tires. Both drivers pitted on the exact same lap, so I think Lajny's tires, well, they just so happen to be wearing it a little bit more because they're soft, whereas Swiderski's durability on those medium tires are going to help him get that performance gap a little bit longer.
And that's the thing with the soft tires as well. Yeah, it's you can stick them on and you can be quick in the early stages of a stint, but towards the end of that stint or halfway through that stint, they start to wear off and you start dropping pace a little bit. And I think being on the medium tires just seems to be a bit more of an advantage because they last longer.
Well, exactly, and that's kind of the interesting factor with these tires. But these guys have really got to think. I mean, do I run the soft tires, be really fast in the early stages, but have the tires drop off on me later on in the stand, or do I let it go on the mediums, potentially be a little bit slower, but have a fantastic car, in the later run? That is the question we're going to be asking again here as we're watching the battle for 8th and 9th start of the cools on in. Thomas Zine reeling in Philip Schiff. Now, remember, we mentioned that Zine was on about 6-lap fresher soft tires. He still has the performance that he would need to start reeling in that gap on Thomas Schiff. It was about 1.4 seconds or so when he came out of the pits. Well, that gap has really started to shrink down now. It's only 0.7.
Yeah, that gap's pretty much evaporated now, and Philip, I think, will be feeling the pressure from Thomas in a few moments' time, as the gap between them is about 0.5 of a second. And yeah, looking at heading into the final corner now, I think if Thomas can get a great run through the S's as Philip goes to defensive heading down to turn 1, I think if Thomas can get a great run through the S's, I think he should be able to make a move possibly heading down to the carousel.
Zine keeps it in much tighter than Schiff just up the road. The gap is still hovering at about 0.7 of a second, but still running very strong indeed. Schiff weaving over the track, trying to break the draft, trying to make sure that Zine does not lose, or does not gain any more time on him down that very long back straightaway. Without the bus stops gained, it is so important that you keep the cars behind you all the way up to the braking zone. Oh, Schiff gets a little bit twitchy though on the curves to the chute that time by.
Yes, he's absolutely pushing, and Schiff is feeling the pressure for sure now because he's had a bit of a couple of sketchy moments. And Thomas, I think, I don't think he'll try and make a move straight away. I think he's maybe just planning what he's going to do. But I think if you see him get a run down straight after the S's and he gets close enough, I think he'll make a lunge up the inside into the carousel.
That's where he's going to really have to make it work. I mean, that has been the very big passing zone because unlike a lot of series, the front straightaway just isn't... Oh, wow! Both cars getting extremely close to the wall. One of them on the grass. That was Thomas Zine that got up and onto the grass there. It runs really wide to turn 1 as well. Goodness gracious. That was really close for both drivers.
Yeah, I thought both of them were heading for the wall there in the final corner. That was a bit of a scary moment. I'm guessing it would be pretty more scary for Philip and Thomas, but Thomas is not close this time around heading into the carousel. Philip has done just enough to keep him behind.
He still has to hold him off, though, for about 7.5 more laps, and that is a huge ask right now for Philip Schiff, who has just been losing time lap after lap to Thomas Zine. The gaps are kind of fluctuating. They really are kind of going back and forth here. Thomas Zine is really just not able to reel in Philip Schiff as much as he needs to be able to get the pass done, and he's closing it a lot because of that draft down the back straightaway, but he loses it all in this middle section.
Yeah, it seems to be the middle sector where he loses it, and but Philip, he's doing a good job, like I say, he's keeping Thomas behind, and looking at the gap actually, Thomas is actually falling back slightly, but as they come across the line now, it seems to be on the straights that Thomas is able to close back up, so maybe carrying a little less downforce for straight line speed.
Or the soft tires just aren't as big of a factor there because he doesn't have to worry about turning. He is going about 7 laps on, so he is going to be starting to lose that little bit of a performance gap that he had. Still, even when there's almost a second of space between them, Philip Schiff is still swerving left and right because he knows he can reel in about a quarter of a second down that entire straightaway, and that is exactly what Thomasin did anyway.
So there's a ride on board with Thomasin now, and currently in 9th position at the moment inside the top 10, and the back straight, he just doesn't seem to be able to get a great run and try and keep up the momentum. It just seems to be, I think the soft tyres are pretty much just starting to drop off now.
At the moment, this is the only battle we got on the racetrack, about 3/4 of a second apart. We're going to be coming up to 6 laps to go this time by, so certainly not a lot of time left for any of these drivers trying to figure something out. A check down of that one, 5 laps remaining this time by. Philip Schiff just gets so close to the tire barriers. They both get so close to those tires on the exit of the corner. If they were probably going about 2-3 miles an hour faster to there, they would both be clobbering them time and time again.
And the final corner as well is one of those corners that it just invites you, it tempts you even to try to carry as much speed as possible. Yeah, it's all good and well carrying as much speed as possible, but if you carry just a little bit too much and you miss the entry, corner entry ever so slightly, you're just on a one-way trip into the wall.
Finally, Philip Schiff has broken the draft. Thomasin is now over a second back, and he is starting to just drop on back. So this battle does appear to be over for the moment for one Thomasin, who was doing such a great job at trying to reel in Philip Schiff, but was just not able to pull up and get the pass done.
Absolutely not, but at the moment, it's, we're currently looking at that looks like the leader, Tim Dallara. He's just doing a great job at the moment, and he's just pretty much put in a commanding drive at the moment, or for most of the race, and at the moment he's on course to take a well-deserved victory, and his teammate in second, Greg Olsen, will make it a PSR 1-2.
Wouldn't that be great for Tim Dallara to take yet another victory in the season and pick up this time a 1-2 for Positive Sim Racing? That would be the absolute best case scenario for that team. And right now, Tim Dallara has been putting a clinic on the field. Once again, has led just about every single lap except for the couple laps while the pit stops were cycling through. Just goes to show how fast of a driver he is in this car.
Indeed, he just seems to be. I've not really watched Tim that much, to be honest, but from the times I have, he's been really quick, and he seems to be pretty handy in open wheel racing. Same with Greg Olsen, and yeah, I think they're pretty much putting on a commanding run at the moment with a 1-2 for Positive Sim Racing, and yeah, Tim just I can't say anymore. Just it's commanding.
He really does know exactly, how to make that car work in his favor. It does look, though, like the battle could still be closing in for 8th and 9th. I mean, Thomasin has been trying to close it in just a little bit, has not been able to make it quite work, though. There was just another pass for the 11th position, for the 10th position as well. Jacob Swiderski has lost the top 10 to Thomas Langston, so it seems like a swap for positions back there. But still, for these drivers up at the 8th and 9th, they have just been going back and forth so much. It's just been phenomenal, the battle we've been seeing between them.
As we look at the positions on the left side of your screen, the positions gained, and I think the biggest mover in that race is Thomas lagging at the moment, 15 positions.
It is not an easy feat to gain 15 spots when you start all the way back in 25th. I believe he was actually one of the drivers that did not set a qualifying line. In fact, he was one of the cars that didn't set a qualifying lap going into today, so he started on the back row of the grid. Likely picked up at least 6 or 7 of those spots from the massive turn 1 calamities that we saw. But after that, it has been smooth sailing. And like I said, he just picked himself up into the top 10 around Jacob Swiderski, who seems to have had a very minor spin of his own. Now, though, Philip Schiff is losing time to Aaron Roofs, who is right by him here, almost took him out in the process.
Yeah, that was close as they coming across the line now. And yeah, this battle for the last couple of positions in the top 10 has been really close at the moment. But I think Philip, he's doing enough just to keep that 8th position at the moment, and Thomas is dropped back.
2.5 laps remaining. Not a lot of time anymore for Tomas Zin to try to run down Philip Schiff just in front of him. The question is, will he be able to do it? Zin has been really trying to apply the pressure, but he just hasn't been able to pick up what he needs. He loses so much time in this middle section of the racetrack because the tires just fall away. He's lost 1/10 of a second in the one corner alone. The gap is about just at 0.6 at the moment, and it's just such a struggle for him right now.
He just can't seem to do anything. He just can't be. Thomas can't seem to be able to get close to Philip in the slipstream, and I think Thomas as well. He's still keeping him in range, but it's just getting close enough to make a move. That's the issue.
Now, if he can keep this gap here, I say that he's just lost 0.3 of a second through that last corner. But I was going to say, if he could keep that gap about 6. Oh wow! Clip of the grass for Thomas Zin on the entry. Nearly sends him into the tires, but he manages to recover it nicely down through turn number 1. Philip Schiff goes with 2 laps to go. I think that mistake from Zin has just secured Schiff's 8th place finish.
Yeah, and I think Philip Schiff will be breathing a sigh of relief as well, because I've watched Philip a couple of times as well in the entry of the last corner, and he gets so close to that wall. I'm amazed that he's not even touched it or got it damaged, but credit to him, he's kept it in one piece. But as we head into the last lap now, and Tim Dallara crosses the line to start the final lap.
White flag is in the air. It's been a long, it hasn't really been a long 37 laps, has it? This race has actually just completely flown by, but for Tim Dallara, he has put on an absolute clinic today, once again schooling the field and showing them exactly how it's done as he gets set to round off the field for the final time today.
So the battle for P6 is starting to close up as well by the looks of it.
Indeed it is. That gap looking very, very close right now. Just about 9/10 or about a second apart, but it is starting to close. Sanfilippo's got one more chance to try to reel in Omar Baja to try to pick up that 6th position. He's going to get a massive tow here down the straight, but I don't know if that is going to be enough. Tim Dallara, though, is already exiting the boot section back onto the normal road course. He's approaching the final couple of corners. For Tim Dallara, it has been an absolutely stellar race for him. He has led almost every lap of the race. It's another dominant victory for Tim Dallara, who's going to win once again here at Watkins Glen.
Yep, 2nd place is going to go to Greg Olson as well. He's a Positive Sim Racing teammate comes across the line for 2nd. And then 3rd place it'll be Drew Russell. But this battle for P6 at the moment is still close as Omar Baja is coming round into the last sector now. Daniel Sanfilippo is trying everything to get close to try and take that 6th position, but I think Omar is just going to do enough as we head round to the final couple of corners, and Omar, by the looks of it, is going to hold on for that position.
Yeah, unless he really screws up the exit of this corner, which he doesn't, the position is going to go to Omar Baja. Danilo Sanfilippo picks up 7th. Just wait for the final few cars to run their way across the finish line. My goodness me. That was a proper race there from the Dallara Formula IR series.
Absolutely was. Maybe we didn't have a race up at the front for a battle at the front for the win, but that battle away for 6th position and 8th and 9th was absolutely fantastic to watch. As it looks like just about everyone's finished the races. I've still got some or a couple of people to come across as watching a car coming across the line now. But overall, I have to say that was a great race, and Tim Dallara just put in a masterpiece.
Well, with the race concluded 37 laps later, let's take a look at the official results from today's race. Once again, Tim Dallara takes victory here in the Dallara Formula IR Series. Greg Olsen makes it a positive sim racing 1-2. Drew Russell makes it an Australian 1-2-3. Mark Sanfilippo is going to be finishing off in the 4th place, with Steve Honan rounded out the top 5. Omar Baja sits in 6th, with Danilo Sanfilippo in 7th. Philip Schiff in 8th. Thomas Zine 9th. And Thomas Lajny, the last car in the lead lap, rounds out the top 10. Jacob Swiderski sits in 11th, with Adam Cohn in 12th. Tim Bauer 13th, Blake Haswell 14th, Aaron Roos 15th, Javier Soto, the last car to finish the race, in the 16th position. Then comes everybody else. Dominic Farber, Eric Jachuk, Robin Brummer, and Cal Young round out the top 20. Drivers that didn't even make it out of lap 1 are Jacob Uberslack, Anthony Catt, Memo Domingo, Dylan Freckleton, Nicholas Hayert, and Matthew Howard. All drivers suffering very early ends to their races. So unfortunate for all of them. What an absolutely thrilling race, though, especially in the early stages. You know what? It really did pick up in the end, too, as it so often does.
Yeah, absolutely done. Did, and we had a great battle in the midfield, or a couple of great battles in the midfield towards the end. And Watkins Glen, it never disappoints. And today, again, we had a fantastic race.
That was definitely a race that was significantly better than what we've seen over the past couple of weeks. I mean, the past couple of weeks have been, I think a lot of people would like to use the term a little bit lackluster, but this race has just been absolutely phenomenal. We saw a lot of attrition in the early stages, but hey, it really does just add to the excitement, and Watkins Glen has proven again, you can have an exciting race with only half the field remaining.
Yep, you absolutely can. And I think as well, it looks like we've got a couple of drivers in waiting for an interview by the looks of it, Don.
We do. We've actually got the 2 positive sim racing teammates. So let's bring up your race winner. First off, once again, Tim Dallara brings it over to victory lane. Tim Dallara, my goodness me, what a race. 37 laps later, how are you feeling?
Thanks. Yeah, pretty wiped at the moment. Yeah. Very hot and sweaty, but it's all for a good result, so I'll take it.
It was a positive sim racing 1-2, and you certainly made it happen. Once again, pulling a clinic on the field. Was it an easy run for you throughout the course of the day?
To an extent, I guess. Went as smoothly as I could have hoped. So yeah, that was good, but it was still a bit scary, knowing that we had like a full warm-up lap. It made it a bit of a risk to start on the mediums, because they just fall right out of any sort of working window, and it takes a good few laps to really get them into the nice range. But it looked like there was some sort of crazy accident on lap 1 behind us. It gave us a bit of breathing room, and from that point it was just nice to be able to ease into the tyres and get it all working the way we wanted it to. And from that point on, it was just about controlling the race. And thankfully, it all went really well.
Unfortunately, we don't have the most amount of time at the moment, so we are going to have to close things off here. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out for us?
Yeah, Positive Sim Racing, Javier and Greg, we've done a lot of work again this week to get to where we are today. So, thanks to those guys. Congrats to Greg on P2. And, also Drew in P3. He had insane pace in that second stint, putting in like 14.7. So, well done to him. And thanks to you guys for the coverage.
And thank you, Tim, for taking the time to join us today. Good luck next week at Road Atlanta.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
That was your race winner, Tim Dallara, one of the first drivers to bring home a positive sim racing 1-2. Going to continue to move things along. We're going to bring in Greg Olsen now, the second place finisher in today's race. Ryan Walker, you're standing by with the second of positive sim racing driver.
Yep, the positive sim racing teammate of Tim Dallara started second, finished second, and Greg, that looked, it would have been good for you to challenge for the win, but I guess second place, that's still nothing to be ashamed of.
No, I'm very happy with second, actually. I mean, I got a terrible start. I think I was in the wrong gear, and Drew just nailed me off the start. So it was lucky that I was able to get him after a couple of laps and then build a gap because he was so quick on that second stint. I don't think we were expecting anyone to really run long and then put the soft tyre on. So was a bit nervous for a bit there. So yeah, happy to get second after all that.
Yeah, I mean, what it seemed to be after all the mayhem settled down at the early stages of the race, it just seemed to be you and Drew were having a good battle, and then after the pit stop, it just seemed to settle down. But you managed to make it to the end in second place, and yeah, what sort of preparation have you put in for this race? I mean, Tim was talking about the preparation, and you've kind of just sat down with Javier, I think it was, and just spent some time getting the car set up for this track.
Yeah, we started, I guess, last weekend just doing some initial laps, and yeah, our team boss man Javier he's been doing races and doing laps, and this week was a little bit different for me. I ghosted a few races and then actually did a race myself, and yeah, found that the start in particular was particularly chaotic. So yeah, it was a bit tricky just trying to work out whether the soft or the medium would be the right tire, because throughout the week the track temperatures have varied quite a bit between sort of the low 30s and the high 30s, and that has a big impact, on pace and on tire wear. So yeah, we just tried to find the right balance, and didn't do a ton of laps, but yeah, I guess it worked out having, a team of people helping you out and working on the setup. And yeah, to that extent, Javier did a great job as well, really optimizing the setup that Tim made.
I'm looking ahead to Road Atlanta next week. Are you planning to turn up for that, or are you giving that a miss?
It's a bit like Long Beach. I'm not too sure yet. It is a bit of a strange one. I've tended to avoid driving Road Atlanta with open wheelers. Particularly, I've just got niggling little issues with my wrists, and I know that this car has pretty strong force feedback, and I know Road Atlanta's pretty bumpy, so I'll definitely give it a try, but I'm not 100% sure. We haven't looked that far ahead as a team yet either, whether we decide to do it or not. So I can't make any promises, unfortunately.
Finally, before we let you go, Greg, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, as I was saying before, just a big shout out to Positive Sim Racing, to Tim and Javier, my teammates, who are focusing particularly on this car, but also to all the other guys. We've got a lot of guys racing Formula 3.5, and they're doing really good in their league races as well. So yeah, shout outs to those guys, Jose and Daniel Campos and Lubomir and Manuel Hoyer, and also as you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Great stuff. Well, again, congratulations on second, Greg. And yeah, hopefully we see you on track at Road Atlanta next week.
No worries. Thanks, guys. See you later.
That was a second place finisher, Greg Olson, joining us. And I have to say, Nolan, even though it settled down in the early stages of the race after those incidents, we still had a great battle in the mid-pack towards the end.
Road Atlanta, I think, is going to be very interesting indeed. Like you said, this race had a lot of fantastic moments in it, but Road Atlanta is where the big question is going to be. That is a track that is definitely for GT racing, not really for open wheel racing. So when you throw these brand new cars around there with the extreme elevation changes of the first sector, oh boy, if we thought the first few laps of this race were chaotic, that's going to be something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Road Atlanta is one of my favourite tracks for multi-class racing, but with high-tech open-wheel cars, I think we should be in for an interesting proposition next week.
It's going to be very interesting. 49 laps, the second most amount of lap counts, second only to Long Beach, of course. It is a very quick lap around Road Atlanta, isn't it? It really is not a very long track, which it looks a lot longer than it actually ends up being. That's where we're going to be for the first race in the month of February, and I do believe that is going to be just about all the time we're going to have for one day on this one. So with that look at the schedule, we would like to thank everybody as well for watching yet another presentation here of Friday Night Primetime. It's been an absolute joy bringing you the series once again. Finally back to tracks that definitely seem to provide us with a lot more thrills and, well, in this case, certainly a lot more spills as well than what we were used to seeing in the past few weeks.
Yep, absolutely. I think it'll be interesting to see what it's like participation-wise, so looking forward to it. And yep, one of my favourite tracks as well.
So this has been round number 7 of the Dallara Formula IR Championship for Friday Night Primetime here on RaceSpotTV. I've been Ola Redpool, bringing you all the coverage from start to finish with Ryan Walker helping me out in the commentary box once more, and Connor and Maddox downstairs in the producer's chair. We want to also give a special thanks to TrackCamera22 and It's Been Below for giving us the cameras you've seen here today, and thank you all for joining us here tonight for another presentation. We'll see you all next week.